I have a story of a girl who was lost. A story of a girl who didn't know who she was. Something entered her soul and took her over and consumed her mind, consumed her thoughts, consumed her every walk and every motion. Everything she did, she yielded to it. She became full of hate, anger, and rage, deceit, and lies. She became lustful, and all she wanted to do was hurt people. That's all she cared about, was destroying lives and destroying her own life. What happened to that girl that had the curly locks, that was happy and joyful, that used to run outside and play, that used to bounce around with so much joy and laughter? What happened to that girl? Where did she go? Let me show you. Are you ready? From a very young age, I found myself being very promiscuous, thinking about things that a young girl shouldn't be thinking about when you are 8, 9, 10 years old, not knowing where it's coming from, not knowing why you're feeling these things. I felt lost. I didn't have any kind of sense of direction. My parents tried to do everything they could to help me and to guide me and to show me the right path that I should live. And things just got worse, and I started seeking love in all the wrong places. I started seeking it in other people. I started seeking it through the television, through the internet, through 900 phone number calls that I would make at the age of 11, 12, 13 years old. I found myself when my mom wasn't home, watching TV and getting caught up in things that I shouldn't. Playing with boys on the street, if you know what I mean. After school, thinking that was fun. And my life began to go downhill from there. I didn't want to listen to anybody. My parents got divorced when I was young. And I didn't want to do anything that anyone had to tell me to do. If you told me to do something, I wasn't going to listen to you. If you told me there was a consequence, I didn't care. I didn't care what my parents had to say. I didn't care what my family had to say or what my consequences were going to be. So as I got older, things got worse, and I began to continue to seek love in all the wrong places. And one day, I had received a phone call from a family member asking me to come live with them. And I did that. And I moved to Michigan, and I lived with them for a while. And the first time that I walked inside of their church, I felt the presence of God. And it was a feeling that I had never felt before. It was peace. It was love. It was acceptance. It was just an overwhelming joy that came over me. And by the end of the service, I found myself at the altar crying for hours with people over me praying for me and telling me how much they loved me. From that moment forward, I was on fire. I had felt the taste of the Lord and what that was like. After going through losing my virginity at the age of 14 years old here in Houston, and just allowing it to be a downward spiral of alcohol and being promiscuous. All of that stopped that day that I stepped foot inside of that church. I gave my life to Jesus, and I said yes to him. There was something that changed on the inside of me that day, and he came in and he lived on the inside of me. And so for about a year, I lived and breathed the word and worship and church and the Bible, and I couldn't get enough of it. We went to church 3 nights a week, and I loved it. But then I allowed my mind to take over. I allowed that feeling to come back on the inside of me because I wasn't understanding who God was. I really wasn't understanding all of his love and what he was about. All I knew was the feeling that I was feeling on the inside, but I didn't have a full understanding of how to fully be delivered from everything that I had gone through, all of my sins and everything that I thought had been wiped clean. And I remember one day I was standing in worship, and I had my hands lifted, and it came in like a flood in my ear. And to this day, I'll never forget it. And I know it was a demonic spirit, and it said to me, and it felt like dancing. And like all of this just started to flood my ear gates. And from that moment forward, something just took over me. And I started backsliding. I started hanging out with people I shouldn't be hanging out with. I started sneaking out of the house when I shouldn't have been. And then from that moment forward, things slowly started to go downhill even further. And I moved back to Houston, Texas, and that's when I started working in clubs. And I started dancing. I started doing things for money that I shouldn't be doing. And I ended up getting into a relationship that was very destructive. And one day, he comes over to my apartment with this white bag. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's cocaine. We're going to try it. And I said, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with it. And he said, no, we're going to try it. And sure enough, I tried it. And from that moment forward, I was hooked. For the next 6 months of my life, I was a dancer. I did cocaine every day and every night for 6 months. It made me violent to see the daylight. Just to hear birds chirping, to see the sunshine, to go outside, it was torture for me. I hated it. I hated every moment of it. And as my life started to go further downhill, I started losing people in my life. I lost my apartment. I started losing my car because the only thing that mattered to me was the drug. The only thing that mattered to me was me. I would take women and send them down the same path of destruction that I was on to make money. And then one day, I met this man. I was walking through a club, and I looked across the room, and I saw him. And I remember as soon as I saw him that there was something different, that there was something unique, and I was drawn to him. And as we started talking, we began to build a relationship that's unlike any relationship that I've ever had with a person. And he started to treat me how you're supposed to be treated, with love, with compassion, with kindness. And he was gentle. And I remember that one day I tried to get up and leave, and he grabbed my arm, and he said, no, don't leave. Don't leave me. I need you to stay here with me. And I said, no, I can't be here. I have to go. And he said, I need you to stay. So I stayed. And from that moment forward, it was all a God divine appointment. God stepped in my life and changed it. I continued working at the club. I continued seeing him. And before I knew it, something started to change on the inside of me. Something happened. There was a night where I was on the floor of my bathroom with a razor blade, and I had a bottle of pills and alcohol, and I wanted to end my life. But I didn't, because I was scared of death. I was scared of where I was going to go for eternity. I didn't want to end up in hell. It scared me because I had known Jesus Christ. I knew of his love, and I knew what that felt like. And I knew that God had something better for me that day that I sat on my bathroom floor before I decided to try to take my own life. So I didn't. And God started to change me from the inside out. He started speaking to me again. I started feeling his presence again. He was saying, Megan, I love you and I am right here for you. I have never left you nor forsaken you. I ran from him. I ran from my heavenly Father who loves me. And I turned my back on him. And when we turn our back on him, it leads to a path of destruction. And that's what happened. And he showed me one more time, I am going to pull you out of this. And you are going to be a new creation in me and who I created you to be. And my life started changing from that moment forward. And the man that I'm married to today, my husband, is the man that I met that day in the club. And it's just been amazing. We started going to church. God's delivered both of us. We have 3 amazing, beautiful children. And I wouldn't want to ask for anything better than what I have right now, because Jesus Christ is the center of my life. He's the center of our family. He's the center of my children's life. He is the one and only way to seek what it is that you're looking for, the pain and the hurt that is inside of you. He's the only one that can fulfill that. He's the only one. There is no human, there is no drug, there is nothing that you can insert inside of yourself to drink or to smoke. There is no person that you can spend one night with that is worth the pain that will ever fulfill what Jesus Christ can fulfill for you. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I wanted to show you my story, my life, and where the Lord has taken me from and where he brought me, even in the moment I turned my back on him. So, having a Lord that we have that's so amazing and so generous and who loves us so much, he shows us so much grace and love. He has birthed inside of me a ministry called Heels to Halos. And what Heels to Halos does is once a month we go inside of strip clubs in the surrounding area and we go on the streets. We love on women. We take them gifts. We show them that Jesus loves them. We let them know that they don't have to live the life that they're living, that the Lord has called them to do something bigger and greater than anything that they can imagine, than anything that this world has lied to them and told them that they can't do. They can. And that's what we do. We take them food, we take them gifts, and we love them. We meet them where they're at. And that is what we do. And once a month, we have monthly dinners where we invite the women to come, and we serve them, and we want to lavish them and cover them with his love and with his grace, giving them a safe place to come and talk and fellowship and laugh and just let them know that they are jewels and that they are diamonds. And what the world has used to try to throw them away in the lies of the Satan is not true. That we want to take them and help show them the God-given purpose in their life, who God has created them to be. To find more out about what the Lord's doing with Heels to Halos, you can visit us at heelstohalos.com, and we also have a Facebook page under Heels to Halos. I'm Megan McCullum, and this is my story.